I just pre-ordered the SuiPlay0x1. This is a gaming device that allows you to play Web 2 and Web 3 games. Now, I don't even play a lot of video games. I just like airdrops. So we're going to speculate about that later in this video. So stick around until the end, and we'll also go over what is the SuiPlay0x1, how much it costs, the specs, games, and more. Now, this video is sponsored by the SUI Foundation, but they left it up to me to showcase the device, and all speculation is my own, and this comes from being an experienced user in crypto and seeing what kind of airdrops happen for other devices, like the Solana Saga phone, where the airdrops more than covered the cost of the phone. So I'm speculating that we see something similar with the SuiPlay0x1, but there's no guarantees, and, not financial advice. All right, with that, let's get started. What is the SuiPlay0x1? It is a handheld gaming console, much like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. But there's a big difference because the SuiPlay0x1 allows you to play Web 2 and Web 3 games. That means you can play games from the Epic Game Store, from the Steam Store, and your favorite blockchain games. And that's going to fill a big gap in Web 3 gaming, because if you want to play a blockchain game that uses NFTs, it's difficult. It's very difficult. So when it comes to the Steam Store, there is a ban on blockchain and NFT games. It's just not available. When it comes to the Epic Game Store, they are a little more flexible, but they still have restrictions. And when it comes to blockchain games, having restrictions isn't ideal. It makes things more difficult, and that's why we need something like the SuiPlay0x1, where all these games that are available are more accessible. So that is the goal of the SuiPlay0x1. It's bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 gaming. Now, let's take a look at the price. The SuiPlay0x1 is going to cost you $599 US plus tax and shipping. I know it sounds like a lot, but we got to do some comparisons here. When it comes to the Steam Deck, your prices are going to be anywhere from $400 to $650, and the ROG Ally $500, and the Extreme version going for $650. But that's why we got to look into the specs and potential value that the device can bring you. Now, let's take a look at the specs. But before we do, I'm not Linus Tech Tips or MKBHD. I don't know that much about tech and what the differences are on a lot of these things, but I do have AI, so I'm going to be using AI a lot to check what the differences are when it comes to some of these specs. These are the specs for the SuiPlay0x1. These are the specs for the Steam Deck and for the Asus ROG Ally. Now, I just dropped them all into a Google Doc here so you can see everything at a glance, and you can see that the pricing is pretty competitive with the SuiPlay at $599, the Steam Deck OLED at $549, and the Asus ROG Ally at $650. Now, I did pick the Extreme version of it. There is a cheaper version of these, but I went for something that is comparable with their tech specs and price points. And since we're just using AI, I took a picture of the Google Doc and asked Gemini what's the best option for the price. When it comes to performance, the processor on the SuiPlay0x1 is more powerful than what's available on the Steam Deck. As for storage, they're all pretty comparable. As for the screen, the Steam Deck is superior. Being Web 3 capable is pretty much the biggest factor and the biggest selling point for the SuiPlay0x1. Lots of potential incentives, and it's pretty much the first handheld gaming device that is full-on Web 3 and blockchain. So yeah, that is the biggest selling factor for me. While the SuiPlay0x1 offers a slightly more powerful processor and Web 3 capability, the Steam Deck's superior display and lower price make it a more compelling option overall. However, it is essential to consider your specific needs and preferences, since this is a crypto channel and maybe you're interested in Web 3 stuff. Well, there's only one real option there. And then, of course, we also have to consider that this is a new device, and for availability, yes, it's not available everywhere. So the SuiPlay0x1 is available globally, except for Russia and China. You know what you did. And if you are in China, you can still order it to Hong Kong and then get it that way. Also not available in Cuba, North Korea, Syria, and Ukraine. So looking at the specs and going through what AI has to tell us the device we're getting for the price is pretty competitive to what's available on the market, with the main difference being Web3 capable. And that's where I see the value for the SuiPlay0x1 being Web3 capable while also being able to compete with Web2 handheld devices, since it's going to also be able to play those games too. Taking a look at the games that have been announced that will be available at launch, one of them is going to be Dark Times, a medieval brawler, and Society, a first-person shooter. Now, there will be more games announced leading up to the launch of the SuiPlay0x1, and the device is going to be available sometime in 2025. They don't have a hard date yet, and pre-ordering is available now. And now for some speculation. None of this is guaranteed to happen, but we can make some assumptions based on what's been going on in previous products and tweets. So in this post from Adeni, one of the founders of Sui, he says, "Will you be fast enough? Which one do you deserve?" And then he tags SuiPlay official. So that means when the device launches and you are one of the earlier pre-orders, you might be getting something. If you're in the later side, you might still get something, but it might not be as good. And then we also have to consider airdrops from blockchain games. Now, one of the things that these new blockchain games do to attract users is to provide airdrops. Now, that's because they want people to play their game, they want a loyal community, and most of those airdrops really go to the early users that are farming these things. But let's just say there are a bunch of people with these blockchain devices and they partner up with SuiPlay and they want to attract those users to their game. They're going to provide an airdrop. Now, if you're not familiar with airdrops, that might sound crazy, but let's look at some history. So when the Solana mobile phone launched, they provided airdrops to those users because there's a list of Solana mobile users and you can airdrop to those wallets. And currently, those airdrops are worth about $1,300. Now, this was worth a lot more when we were at peak Solana season earlier this year, but pretty much the airdrops outweighed the cost of the device. And I'm hoping we see something similar with the SuiPlay0x1, but of course that's not guaranteed. Pre-ordering the device now is just to get you access to these Web 2 and Web 3 games. Airdrops aren't guaranteed, but are always a nice bonus. So if, let's say you are a gaming studio, you have a game and you want to attract users, maybe you want to get involved with the SuiPlay0x1 and bring those users over. So yeah, I do want to promote that because I want some airdrops. Ordering the device. So the pre-order is $599 and it's going to be priced at $649 once it becomes more available. And if you are going to go through the pre-order system, you do have to set up a SuiPlay account. It's just an email and a password, and then you need to pay in cryptocurrencies. So this is a very crypto product because it's only available this early with cryptocurrency. Now there is a bonus for early buyers. We're going to get into that in a moment, but you are able to pay with Sui, Solana, or Ethereum. For myself, I ordered on the Sui blockchain using Sui, of course, and then that got me a soul-bound NFT to my account. I got SuiPlay0x1 number 162, and that is viewable on a block explorer. So that's why we also need to understand, what do you receive when you pre-order? Immediately after submitting your pre-order, you will receive an Eternal soul-bound NFT. This Eternal will serve as a claim purchaser to eventually receive the SuiPlay0x1 device once it's available to ship. But that's all just to say, look forward to a soulbound NFT that represents your claim. Now, as one of the early pre-orders, you do get some benefits here. What value does the pre-order Eternals provide to holders? In addition to confirming a claim of ownership for a future device, the Eternal enables holders to qualify for potential future rewards. There are 2 tiers of Eternals: Mythics awarded to the first 1,000 device purchasers, and Exalted awarded to those purchasing units from 1,001 and up. Alright, we learned about SUI's gaming console, how they plan on bridging this gap between Web 2 and Web 3 gamers, some speculation about some potential airdrops, and more. So if this video was helpful, you know what to do, and with that, I hope you got your full value for today.